everybody. Welcome back to Hammer Rugby. After a summer hiatus and the strong urgings of my mate from Wales, Brandon Smith, I am back, and he's asked me to do a preview of the USA Rugby World Cup as we build up to Rugby World Cup 2019. So check it out. So the first thing I want to take a look at is the roster. Gary Gold selected a 31-man roster for this World Cup. What's interesting about the makeup of that roster off the top is he selected 18 forwards and 13 backs, one extra forward. He indicated in an interview that he did so because he felt like the USA pool play was going to be pretty intense up front. He thought that it was going to be a battle of attrition during those 4 pool play games, and he wanted to take in one extra forward. And that was important, I think, to recognize. And I don't think he was wrong there. England have an incredibly tough pack. Argentina traditionally is known for a tough pack. France has some tough individuals up front. And of course, we know that the Tonga game is going to be a tough one. So with that in mind, we'll break down some of the other interesting nuances on his roster. So right off the top, I think Gary Gold was looking to give a nod in his 31-man roster that was heavy on experience, leadership, and versatility. One of the first places we look to for that is none other than Blaine Scully. In the history of the USA Eagles, I believe only 10 men have actually achieved 50 caps, and one of those men is indeed Blaine Scully. He will captain the Eagles as they head to Japan this September. Blaine's a great guy. He's inspirational. I think he's one of those captains that really brings the team together and is a glue that holds that team together. The boys like him and genuinely will follow him into battle without question. I don't think he has the speed to be a top-level winger, okay? So that's not why I think he was chosen. I think he was chosen for his leadership qualities, which are unparalleled. One of the other things I think that Gold went with in terms of experience was Pinkelman and Usefo. This was a little different experience. Not your typical 15s players. They actually play with the 7 side. And, of course, the USA 7 side was ranked number 2 in the world, fell just behind Fiji. I think that winning brand was what Gold was looking for with those 2 selections, because they haven't played a ton with the team, and they just kind of were included in the Pacific Rim championship. Nod towards versatility. 2 guys come to mind. One of them is Dylan Fawcett, although a hooker, and I think he's a bulldog of a hooker. He did in MLR play number 8. Is he a prototypical number 8? No. He's not your 6'7" Cam Dolan, but there's only one true number 8 that was included in the roster, and that is Cam Dolan. I think there's some other guys that can play number 8, but Dylan has played it in MLR action a couple times. He has some experience there. I think he filled in a reserve capacity or came in to the back when somebody needed a blow during the pack rim. But they brought 3 hookers. So I think that versatility was one of the, not the reason Fawcett was included, but it adds some depth to the roster, certainly. The other guys, Osberger can play scrum half or wing, so that gives some versatility there, so they can carry, De Haas and, of course, Davies as your prototypical scrum halves who they've went with over the last 12 to 16 months. But then Osberger's played scrum half, can also play wing, so it kind of adds some versatility there. And then, of course, Hooley is a fullback, but he has played some fly off. Again, I think with some of the makeup of the guys at number 10, there was a need to be able to have some versatility there. And I think McGinty is absolutely the hinge that makes the Eagles go. He is injury prone. He faces some really tough battles in the Premiership week in, week out. So I think he takes abuse. He's not a particularly big guy. And he was a little knocked and dinged from the Pac Championship. So I think that Hooley was included for that reason. Overall, here's what I like about this roster over and above previous Rugby World Cups from the USA Eagles standpoint. Depth. There is a lot of depth in this team for a USA Rugby team. I'm not saying this is going to be a world-beating team. We have a lot to work on to get there, a lot more experience to be had. But in previous years, there were probably 15 to 17 guys who can compete at an international level. In this case, I really think the entire roster is capable of at least competing at that level. It's for me, I see this roster as an improvement over and above what we've seen in previous Rugby World Cups from the Eagles standpoint. Let's take a little bit of analysis of USA Rugby's pool C here in Rugby World Cup 2019. As I said, this is the pool of death, pretty difficult pool. You've got England, you've got France, you've got Argentina and Tonga in that order, respectively. So it's considered to be a group of death. I think that the schedule is set up in a way that works against the USA's best opportunities. And what I mean by that is all the teams in pool play have a short rest game. In other words, they play a match, they have 4 days rest, and they go into another match. In the USA, this rest day is not in the best place. So what kind of expectation should USA Eagles and USA Eagle fans have as we go into Rugby World Cup 2019? Well, the ideal would be to be 1-3 with a win over Tonga and have really respectable matches against England, France, and Argentina, with the eye on maybe getting France or Argentina into a really put them under duress and make it a really close match and be knocking on the door in one of those. That would be the ideal. We know that the French are, Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they can look like world beaters. Sometimes they can look absolutely disheveled and be thumped. So that'll be one that the USA should be up for. Argentina, they haven't had some super results. As a matter of fact, I believe I saw that they have lost their last 9 matches. They gave New Zealand an excellent match, I believe, in July. It was 15-20. But their scrum wasn't very strong over the Rugby Championship. So I'm not saying that the USA can necessarily go out and give them a hiding, but I think it should be a match that if they can keep it close and they can be knocking on the door, their spirit might carry them to a potential for a victory. The reality for us as USA Rugby fans is we very well could be 0-4. Why do I say that? Well, let's go back to that short rest week. It comes between the Argentina match, a match that the USA will really, really want to perform well, and the Tonga match, a match which we should win if you go based upon rankings. It will be an exceedingly tough game. It will be very close. They will have to use all of their resolve to win that one. Here's my concern with that short rest week and the knowledge that Gary Gold knows. In fact, he will have 3 physical matches prior to that. I worry about injuries. How much of a toll will those 3 matches prior to Tonga, how much of a toll will that take on the roster? Right now, I tell you this, I worry about McGinty. He is in the absolute hinge that makes the USA engine go. As he goes, they go. But he's injury prone. He has taken quite a beating in the Premiership. It's a very physical league, and he's not a particularly big fly half. The other guy that I think is really necessary to the success of the Eagles in the engine room is Savetta. He's a line-out winner. He got injured, had suffered a pretty substantial lower body injury. And I think he's going to make it maybe the second or third game. But if he re-injures that leg, he might not be available for that Tonga match. So that's the reality. What's my prediction? My prediction is 1-3. I think they're going to beat Tonga. It'll be a tough match. Got to respect them. what I'm hoping for is that they're going to give France and Argentina a tough match. Keep those two games under 15 or 20 points. Keep in England under 30. And I know that's optimistic, but for me and fans of USA Rugby, a 1-3 result with close matches in those other ones. Like I said, England will give them a pretty good thumping, I imagine. But keeping that under right around 20, 25 points, you got to consider those wins for USA Rugby. So in the end, I hope you all enjoy September, October, November. I've been looking forward to this for months. I am so excited to see this tournament play out. I think it's going to be the most competitive tournament for Rugby World Cup fans up to this point. So tune in, 23 matches in sum total in the United States for NBC and NBC Sports. If you want to catch all the matches, obviously NBC Sports Gold package. So enjoy Rugby World Cup 2019, and maybe you'll see me around the bend at the end and just give a look back at what is and what will be a beautiful and wonderful tournament for all us rugby fans around the world.